I'm kind of on a journey. I've been on a journey recently where I'm trying to read everything that Kurt Vonnegut has ever written. And there's one novel that I keep coming back to. It's not my favorite of his by any means. I don't even think it would be in the top five, but it's one that I'm constantly thinking about with the state of the world the way it is. And that novel is his very first, Play Your Piano. So let's discuss why I think this needs to be taught. So let me give you a little sales pitch. Teachers, are you tired of teaching Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 because you think books are the most important thing in the world and they're going out of style? Or perhaps you're teaching The Giver and you're worried about this dystopian world where we cast our elders off and we're all in a huddled community not knowing what's in the beyond. But what if I told you that there is a novel that is still dystopian, and it is not one of those two or the Hunger Games, and it actually pertains to the crazy shit going on right before our eyes today? I have read a ton of Kurt Vonnegut, over 20 books at this point. I'm on a journey to read everything that he's ever written. This is his very first novel that he published in 1952. It needs a lot of polishing, but it is still great. And when I tell you about the inspiration for it, it's going to make a whole lot more sense. Kids always love dystopian fiction for some reason. I think it's because we're paralleling the bad universe in the book and things that are currently happening in our lives today. And so I think with the rampant rise in AI, this is the best novel that you could possibly teach if you want to do something dystopic. The inspiration for this was Kurt Vonnegut was working at General Electric as one of his earlier jobs when he first got out of college and working with his brother. And what he saw there were engineering feats happening. People were working in the factory making machines that were doing the people's jobs, but in this world, and it's not everything's run by like technology as kids think of it today, right? Things are not like automated screens and LEDs. Everything's not touch. Everything's not flying everywhere. But the entire world is run by machines. There's one supercomputer running everything. But basically, every job that there is automated. And the two jobs that run the world are engineer and businessmen. So you have the people that make the product, and you have the people that sell the product, which is pretty much what we're dealing with right now. I will also say there are a couple different like subplots going on that I think you could cut entirely. There's stuff going on where they're making fun of the military and raising an army basically to fight its own citizens, which you can keep in. It is good to talk about, but not if you're not comfortable with that. It's not the main story. And there's also this continuing going to some some event for a job where they're wearing company t-shirts and they're having a little sing-along and all this stuff. I couldn't follow that as well, but if you're already wanting to cut, you can do that and still get a good story out of this. The rise in AI shows us that the most important human things are getting taken away from us and replaced by machines. And luckily there is also a resistance rising against it right now. Unfortunately, my TikTok For You page and Instagram have all just been AI slop, and you see companies everywhere that are promoting it all the time. Not to say that I haven't used it. I have. I'm guilty of it, but it's technology that is rising too fast. All right. So the first scene that I want to talk about is a point where an old colleague of the main characters, Dr. Paul Proteus is the main character in this, right? He is the subject of all this machinery around him trying to run his life. But a man comes to him that he used to work with, begging Dr. Proteus for a job. And Paul asks him, he's like, I thought you had a job. What do you mean? What's going on? And he tells him, like, he's breaking down in tears, saying he built a machine that did his job better than him, and the machine fired him because it was able to outproduce him. It could do his job better than him. So that's just the first taste of what we do see now. Like we can talk about real life examples where artists are losing their job. Any creative innovation is just going out the window. I had the most egregious time at a movie theater recently where during the previews they were playing AI generated short stories, like little short films, and you were supposed to scan a QR code and go and rate which one you enjoyed the most from these quote unquote creators. And by creator, it's somebody who typed some BS into a computer and just wasted gallons of water to generate something that had no human life to it whatsoever. Replacing a job is one thing. What if it started replacing people? Second scene, we have Paul and his wife Anita are greeted by their friend Dr. Finnerty, or Finnerty, however you pronounce it. Dr. Ed Finnerty. I'm gonna call him Ed. My boy Eddie. Anita comes in and she's babbling. She's ruining guy time between Paul and Ed. So Ed, in a fit of rage, as an engineer, is starting to yell at her, saying, "I could make a wife that is better than you, that could do everything you do, but better."
What the hell are you talking about?
We have now this instance where we can talk about what would it mean if we started replacing human interaction altogether. Imagine that, like all the things that a spouse provides, or like if it's your students, you could say like, what if your mother or father, grandparent, caretaker, whoever was replaced with this machine? And you can start by saying machine, and then you can work your way into AI. Like, what if my mom was a robot? And then you go into, well, what if my dad was somehow replaced with artificial intelligence, and this thing was just fed proper, quote unquote, proper fathering techniques? You could take all the best literature in the world on fatherhood, on motherhood, parenting, grandparenting, any of that, and you could give it to a vessel, right? What if you did that? All of it, all the knowledge in the world at its fingertips, it would have the correct response every time. Would that be a better caregiver at that point? Is that possible? Because it is something that we see. It is something happening. This is something that he wrote in 1952, which is absolutely mind-blowing, because that would have only been 3 years after World War II. That's the technology we're talking about that we were seeing then. One of the things that I would do for this book is I would have a lot of journaling prompts. As a kid, you get dismissed a lot. I'm sure a lot of high school students understand this, because you are feeling your way out for the world to see where you fit into it at. Your opinions and your ideas get dismissed a lot because you've been crushed into a school. If you're a high school student, then you've known nothing but school your entire life. So you don't get to have an opinion when all of your outside ideas haven't generated yet, because you've only known school for so long, which is messed up to me. So get your thoughts written out on paper. This is why I always prompt journaling. This specific journal entry, I would propose the questions, I guess it'd be 2 questions. 1, what do you want to see replaced by AI? You know, what would make your life easier? What is something that would be a benefit if we replaced it, right? So like I would say vacuuming the house, or something that could do the laundry for me, right? Like I don't have anything to lose personally by putting clothes in a washer and then a dryer and folding them, putting them away. And then giving the question, what is something that you do not want replaced with AI, or like machine learning of any kind, I guess, right? What's something that you would hate to see taken away in the future, or what is something right now that you don't like working with? Like maybe you are a hater of Copilot like I am. I can't stand opening up my computer. I opened up my email today, my Gmail, and I was trying to read something from another professor that I used to have, and it's already trying to summarize for me. Like,
I can read this email myself.
I don't need an assistant tool for that, okay? If literacy rates are so far down the way they are now, because we can't consume full amounts of media and you have to have everything summarized, then you will not be able to conclude anything for yourself. We are also living in a time where everything needs to be boiled down, okay? I go and I learn a lot at college. I can't retain every piece of it, so I break down everything that I think is most important and I summarize it for students. Students will take what they have learned and they will boil it down and summarize it, and they will pass on that knowledge to another person. But the thing is, once they get to college, they've already had the distilled information. So they are going to distill it even further, and it is going to get down to a point where instead of cutting out everything that you think matters, we're just going to shove and condense everything down to its most basic form of yes or no responses. And I've seen this in the classroom already, and it just upsets me actually. It doesn't even make me mad, it just drags me down when I'm trying to get more than yes, no, true, or false out of students. It is our job as people to connect and talk with one another. So you're pulling out any of that human interaction, and then all of a sudden things are boiled down to, well, these are the laws of the universe, these are the constraints and limits of speech, and then once we've hit those, we're just done. But that's impossible. Keeping us questioning, keeping us curious is what keeps us going and what drives us. This is also super important. Everything I say is super important because I'm just great like that. There is a constant drive for humanity going back in time, right? Always trying to reach simpler times. In any dystopic novel, you will see resistance. You will see groups or people that are trying to put things back the way they were because they don't like the way the world is right now. And this one does it in an objectively different way that I have not seen before. Basically, and spoilers for anyone who wants to read this novel, but Paul, Dr. Proteus, he has spent this entire novel getting sucked up into consumerism and technology running the world, seeing what it's going to do, and basically cull the herd of people there are. But he's looking at a house out in the boonies, pretty much, that's much worse than his apartment. It is all made of wood. It's falling to pieces. It has no running water. It has no air conditioning, and there's like a little plot of farm on the outside of it. And he needs to have this house because humankind, will always strive to reach something simpler, or maybe not even simpler, but something where they get to do hands-on work themselves and see what they can create or what they can do, right? So you've got this like rundown terrible house with no technology in it whatsoever, right? It's the escape. It's getting into that house that is accomplishing the new dream for him. And so I'm curious to see what students would respond to that like, because of course we love our Wi-Fi, and I can't imagine being sentenced to YouTube or being sentenced to eating without YouTube. No Fortnite Battle Pass in this house that he's trying to buy, and you can talk with students about, you know, what do we do right now, because the tech is here to stay, and it is only rampantly improving. So what can we do in the meantime? Can we promote anything, or can we limit things back to simpler times? That's why I would say pick up this book if you get a chance to. I have not seen it on a list of recommended dystopian novels. This is just something that I had to dig up and find in my journey through reading Kurt Vonnegut, and he has many other books that I would also recommend, but this one is the one that if I got to teach it in high school, I would not teach Slaughterhouse-Five, and I wouldn't teach Breakfast of Champions, my favorite book of all time. I would talk about this one, because this stuff is real, and it's happening right now, right before our eyes, and Kurt Vonnegut was scared that it was going to happen in 1952. Until I see you again, read books, watch movies, and I'll see you all in the next one.